Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are feeling well out there and having yourselves a great start to your day, a great morning, and a great work week out there so far. Got you an update on what's going to happen for your Tuesday for today, and then, of course, we'll touch on the latest information from the Storm Prediction Center for what's going on with the severe weather towards the end of our work week, and kind of give you some new information and really talk about why there's still some uncertainty, especially for Friday. And really, what's the simple main driving factor on why they're really questioning if this is going to be significant or if it's not, if it's just going to be a severe weather event in general. There's a big difference, obviously, with the location of low pressure on the European and GFS, and that's really a big driver here. So we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the video. I know there's a lot of people that might be under the gun for severe weather as we near the end of the work week. So I want to quickly say this. All my cats, I have two cats, are in my room right now. One is behind me. If you look at the black dot on my bed, that is Kylo. That's my black cat. He's normally not in here with me, but he's just chilling this morning. Then I got Stormy, my gray cat, right here at my feet. So might see some movement behind me or around me. But anyways, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate the people who continue to tune in. The views have definitely tanked. Certainly have. But, you know, we kind of expect this as we move to severe weather season. Once you start to get to March, April, May, really the only big topic there is to talk about is severe weather. You start to move away from winter. And if there's not severe weather ongoing, I mean, really the only thing you can talk about is, hey, the weather's beautiful. It's spring-like. It's warm. It's cool. And, you know, in winter, you can get all kinds of weather. And then, you know, in summer, obviously, it's just hotter than Hades for most. So appreciate people who continue to tune in every morning and every evening and make this part of their daily routine. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put that in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. So if we look at watches and warnings, this did get upgraded to winter storm warnings. I thought they would stay advisories, but they're calling for, you know, in certain areas, 6 to as much as 9 inches of snow. This will really crank up here in the next few hours for areas of North Dakota and northern Minnesota, where a winter storm, very quick moving winter storm, will be underway this afternoon into the overnight hours. Freeze warnings ongoing right now for sub-freezing temperatures right now. And in fact, we'll look at that. Look at the temperatures across the eastern U.S. Sub-freezing, it's about 28, 29 degrees here at my house in Columbia, South Carolina, Lexington, South Carolina. It's sub-freezing temperatures here in areas of the Panhandle of Florida. But as soon as you get, I would say, to about the Memphis, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi areas, points west, there's a substantial difference between temperatures, I would say, in like western Mississippi than there is in eastern Mississippi. It's definitely colder in eastern Mississippi, and that's just due to the fact that high pressure is still sort of dominating the air mass out here, still putting a lot of cold temperatures a lot across the eastern U.S. This will continue to be fleeting, head on out, and your low temperatures will warm up even for you folks in the eastern U.S. So still will be another chilly morning tomorrow morning, but you'll feel a substantial difference for Thursday morning across the eastern U.S. Very cold up here in the northern section of the country, where it'll be snowing and some pretty cold temperatures up here. Let's talk about the southeast first. Not a whole lot to talk about. A beautiful day, unless you're, you know, in Missouri and Arkansas, where you're dealing with some rain already this morning. You will continue to be dealing with some rain. We'll talk about you folks here on the South Central U.S. panel here in a second. But for the immediate southeast, not a whole lot going on. Ridge begins to slowly build in place. That's why this moisture is taking more of that southwest and northeast kind of ride. Ridge is building in. And, yeah, not a whole lot going on. This rain, as we get into this evening, though, will begin to enter western areas of Tennessee, western areas of Kentucky, you know, down there near Evansville, you know, southern Indiana, Illinois, southern Illinois. It'll probably be a rainy evening, dinner time for you folks up here, and this will move through. And then eventually, as we get into the wee hours of the morning, we'll pretty much cover up the entire state of Tennessee with scattered showers and maybe heavier downpours for Tennessee and areas of Kentucky, maybe even northern Alabama, northern Georgia. This will eventually move into the southern Appalachian Mountains. And, you know, this actually could bring a little bit of snow for you folks in the higher elevations of the mountains of North Carolina as you're getting, you know, waking up tomorrow morning. So I would not be surprised. Maybe they issue a winter weather advisory, but I doubt it. But certainly waking up to a soggy morning across the southern Appalachians and eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina. Up here in the Northeast, not a whole lot going on. Area of snow might move into northern Maine a little bit later this afternoon, this evening. Outside of that, the rain from what I just talked about begins to kind of enter the picture. Ohio, you will deal with some showers overnight tonight. Southern Michigan, and might wake up to some showers tomorrow morning in areas of, I would say, more so eastern Ohio, maybe western Pennsylvania. But outside of that, pretty chill day. Not a whole lot going on in the Northeast. The South Central U.S., like I said, you got this rain, this little weak low pressure that's moving through. So it's going to be a rainy day in Missouri. Arkansas, it'll be chilly. If the rain was not falling in these areas, it would probably warm up into the 60s, maybe even the 70s in these areas. But it's rain-cooled air, evaporative cooling is taking effect. And, cloud cover, rain will keep your temperatures only in the 40s. A very chilly day across Missouri, Arkansas, and just a rainy, damp day. And you'll be dealing with rain all throughout the afternoon hours. This will eventually begin to clear out Missouri, Arkansas, probably sometime late afternoon and this evening. You'll be left with kind of some dampness and eventually make its way into Illinois, the same areas I just mentioned a little bit later today. And then we get into tonight, and clearing happens. Nothing going on overnight tonight, but certainly the stage is beginning to be set for a big-time disturbance that's going to move out the west and then affect our weather in the south central U.S. and bring the potential Thursday for some nasty, severe weather. So with this little area right here of rain that could fall between now and the next 24 hours. I mean, certain areas kind of in the Quad States regions, the Mississippi Valley, right into here could certainly get over a half an inch of rain. It's definitely possible. Elsewhere, the rest of Missouri, maybe anywhere from a quarter inch of rain to a half inch of rain is possible. Northern Arkansas, more soggy conditions, and more rain is on the way too. For all these areas that are going to see rain over the next 24 hours, more is on the way. The rain you see up here, a lot of this is falling as snow, especially in this blue area. This is snow, and we'll talk about that right now. Starting out this morning, not a whole lot going on, but this same low pressure, there's a northern piece of energy will start to bring some pretty heavy snow, moderate to heavy snow into northern sections of South Dakota. It'll really pick up, and I would say the eastern half of North Dakota this evening around dinner time. A quick hitting snowstorm will move through. Heavy enough to warrant winter storm warnings. And this could be quite heavy. Maybe at times blizzard conditions. Look at this little weird stripe of snow stretching all the way from Canada all the way to... Yeah, that's kind of weird. But anyways, this continues to move into the northern half of Minnesota, where I think everybody in northern Minnesota will see snow. Could see several inches of snow. And really all of this has moved into northern Minnesota. Then it starts snowing in northern Wisconsin into the wee hours of the morning. And then I think tomorrow morning for the western UP of Michigan, you'll wake up to some heavy snow. Won't last too long. This will move through in the morning, and then it'll head on out by the time you get into early tomorrow afternoon for these regions. Snowfall between now and the next 24 hours will go on out another, I would say, 36 hours. I mean, in this area right here, you could see, 6 to as much as 9-10 inches of snow potentially in these regions right in here. International Falls is going to get several inches of snow from this. The big city of Minneapolis, you're not going to get any snow off this one. You move to the upper Midwest. How much snow could you guys see here in the next 48 hours? And not going for a whole lot, but I could almost bet that someone in the western UP of Michigan is going to see a little bit more snow than what the National Weather Service is going for. I would say maybe more so 3 to 4 inches of snow, certainly possible. Could fall at a very quick amount of time too. Temperatures will rise where it's not falling into the 70s all the way up into Kansas. But where it's raining, you got rain-cooled air. So all of Missouri is going to be trapped in the 40s. The northern half of Arkansas, same kind of deal. Rain-cooled air in these regions of the country. That's why you had this weird, cool blob of air right here. If this wasn't rain, it would probably warm up pretty good. But here we go. The deep south starting to warm up, getting back into the 60s, the 70s. Florida getting back into the 80s. You might hit 60 degrees in Washington, D.C. Same thing with maybe New York City. Starting to have some 60s show up back into the Ohio Valley. So the warm-up's coming, but you'll be pretty chilly up here in the northern U.S. for sure, as you'll have snow falling. Talk a little bit about severe weather. We'll get detailed again on it tonight. Remember, I got soccer practice tonight, so the video will be a little bit late, and there's always that chance I just won't be able to get the video out. It's hectic on Tuesdays in a good way, but it's busy is what I should say. Marginal risk for severe weather for northern Missouri into areas of Illinois. This does include a very small section of northeast Kansas and areas of southern and southeast Iowa. This is really driven off hail. There's just a 5% risk of hail, 1 inch or diameter or larger within 25 miles in a given location. Not much of a tornado or wind threat, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen, so please be aware. But as we get into Thursday, they have kept it a slight risk, and a pretty small slight risk too. It's a very skinny slight risk. I really think, and I was reading the Storm Prediction Center, so I don't want to just say that I made this up myself, but I really think that they're thinking that in Oklahoma it's going to be a stormy, messy mode. Okay, there'll definitely be storms in Oklahoma, but it's the southwest Texas area that's either not going to get any storms, or they might have 1, 2, maybe 3 big-time storms that could produce some significant hail. And that's why if you look at the probabilities right here, it has a 15% risk of severe weather, but it has this hatch risk right here, 10% risk of significant severe weather, but this is most likely because of hail. So there's going to be a lot of surface heating. Temperatures are going to rise well into the 70s and 80s. There's going to be moisture in place, and there's going to be dry air in the upper levels of the atmosphere, not too far up. Cold air aloft too. Temperatures will rapidly drop, but there will be that warm air advection, that cap in place that we talked about in pretty good detail last night, that will try to prevent any storms from firing. We'll get in range of the HRRR model starting, I would say, here in the next 24 hours, firmly in range. And we'll really see what these short-range models are showing as far as any kind of storm development. But could be some of those classic big-time hailers here in southern Texas, the hill country of Texas, okay? And then, this is the difficult one, okay? You got the 15% risk of severe weather in this huge yellow area. It's basically a slight. That's basically a level 2 out of 5 for Friday. There's huge questions with this. I think regardless, you're going to get a line of storms sweeping through this area. I think you're going to have that regardless. But how intense is this line? Okay. Do you have any supercells that get developing out ahead of this line? Storm Prediction Center has a great discussion on this and basically mentions what we're seeing pretty clearly on the global models, and that's the differences of the placement of low pressure from the GFS and the European. The European and the Canadian say one thing, and the GFS say another. The GFS, like I mentioned last night, certainly has more of a worrisome look as far as severe weather. And I'll talk about what I mean here. Let's look at the GFS, the latest one, just came out this morning. Here we go. Here's the low pressure right here, and I would argue it's probably somewhere into here. But low pressure pops off, okay? It really develops and gets going here in Arkansas, okay? It's deepening, it's strengthening, it's a stronger low pressure. It talks about the strength and the placement of low pressure. Stronger low pressure and a more southerly low pressure off the GFS. It takes it right here. This is, sometime late afternoon, early evening Friday, and it begins to eject it across areas of Tennessee and Kentucky. And by the time you're into the middle of the night, Friday night, you got a 995 millibar low pressure riding right over Kentucky. This could bring severe weather for Kentucky, Tennessee. And trust me, you folks in Tennessee, I'm going to talk about you guys tonight. I don't want to just leave you guys hanging. I know I left you guys hanging a little bit last night, but it's just the details are foggy. All right, so basically, let's see if I can do this on the fly. You have... let's see. Please work for me. All right, she's gonna work. We're good. So I can explain this a little bit better. Basically, you have a low pressure that kind of does this on the GFS. Takes more of a southerly route, maybe even further south. Okay, so it kind of develops, strengthens, and kind of goes like this. This would put a worrisome sector of dynamics right into here. You will need to worry in a pretty intense moist sector down into here. Okay, so let's get off that. All right, what does the European say? Well, let's get this in motion. Ignore. We'll upgrade that here in a second. We'll get this in motion. We're getting into Friday right now. All right, Friday morning. It's already got a low pressure right here. It's already further north. Okay, it's weaker. It's right there, actually. Here it goes. It's strengthening, but this thing is going way up into Missouri, right? The placement is much further north. It's getting all the way up into Illinois, into the Midwest, and then it's getting all the way up almost into the Great Lakes region. So it takes a totally different route than the GFS. GFS kind of goes more like this, and then the European more like this. So that's a huge difference. And I mean, that means everything. And you know, we'll look at this. This is the GFS around what the GFS is. Nah, it's a little bit too far south. This is around what the GFS is doing. Something like that, maybe. And I would argue that it takes more of a kind of just a northeast track more so than a north. And then you got the European that almost takes it like that. Okay? And the GFS, I would say, actually dips it maybe a little bit further south. I know that's terrible, but you get what I'm saying. That makes a huge difference with this severe weather threat. Okay? It really, really does. All right? So that's just something we need to watch out for. The more... Unless this low pressure took like a route that went way down here, that would keep, you know, the worst weather in the Gulf of Mexico. But if it's taking this route right here like the GFS shows, then we need to worry, okay? Not freak out, but we certainly need to be aware. If it takes more of that European route, you're probably going to still have severe weather, but I don't think the dynamics will be as high end. So it's just what we got to watch out for. Hope that makes sense. But we'll talk more on it tonight. There's always, like I said, that outside chance I won't be able to get a video out on a Tuesday. But I'll definitely try. There's a higher not chance I will. But God bless everybody. Have a great Tuesday, and I'll be with y'all later tonight.